Today we have Wade Guelfi from PROK.
Obviously, you know I'm the general manager of PROK, but
Yes.
started there at the old age of 17. So I'm 33 years in the business. It was a black and white photo of, it was the first shipment of iron ore that left Dampier, left at Pilbara. It was a Japanese client buying the first iron ore shipment out of the country, and the conveyor in the photo in the background, unbeknown to others, but certainly known to me because I saw the old PROK brand on the side of that conveyor, and I looked into that, and the product on that conveyor was all built out of a facility in Western Australia.
Proud.
Very.
That's amazing.
It was exciting.
That's awesome. New technology. PROK's got smart conveyors.
And his son goes, "You should call it Prokemon." And,
Oh my God,
he
like
was he was watching
Pokemon.
he was watching like Transformers,
Yeah.
and this time wasn't Pokemon, it
Was it?
Transformers, and we come up with Prokemon, and that's what we were running with. So
Welcome back to another episode on the Gold Room Podcast. Thanks for tuning in. Today we have Wade Guelfi from PROK. Thanks very much for joining me, mate.
Josh, thanks for having me.
Not
Appreciate
a problem. Not a problem. Mate, look, before we get into PROK, we always start with the life and the times, as you know. So let's go back. Let's give us a little history on Wade Guelfi.
Well, my interesting question, Josh. If we talk career-wise, obviously you know I'm the general manager of PROK, but
Yes.
started there at the old age of 17. I've just turned over 50, so I'm
Wow.
33 years in the business. But before we talk about me at PROK, married, 3 children, beautiful wife. My oldest daughter is 14, Sienna. 2 boys, Alex and Luca, 12 and 7.
Wow, awesome
So,
ages.
proud father, and beautiful family.
Beautiful, beautiful. So, mate, tell me about younger years growing up. You're a proud Australian.
The youngest of 4 boys.
Cool.
Proud Australian, but Italian heritage. 3 older brothers. 3 older brothers, a little bit rough around the edges. One being an Oceania heavyweight boxing champion in the amateur days. So,
Oh, wow.
spent a fair bit of time boxing growing up.
You did?
My father's passed away now, but he was the president of the Amateur Boxing Association in WA. So we spent a fair bit of time in those type circles, boxing ring out the back and so forth. So I was the youngest. I guess had a bit of lip about me with 3 older brothers and had to protect my own.
Yeah, bloody oath. Bloody oath. And so what about your Italian heritage, mate?
Yeah, like I say, very much Australian, Josh, but also proud Italian heritage. My actual wife is full-blood Italian, so I just happened to be in those circles and found a beautiful wife who's Italian too. But my background, we're from a place called Lucca, which is just outside of Florence in Tuscany.
Were you named your son after?
Certainly did. Sienna, my older sister, from a place that's close to that location, and my youngest, Lucca, because of where the family come from. But the Guelfi name is quite well known in those circles, and they were protectors of the Pope very much through a period. So, exciting historical flavour to the name, and been back there a couple of times and gone through that history, and look forward to taking my children back also.
Yeah, beautiful. You've also got a bit of a famous nephew, don't you, playing footy?
I wouldn't call him famous, that's for sure, and hopefully that doesn't get repeated, my oldest brother's, he's got 3 boys, and one of them plays for the Essendon Football Club. Great kid, quite well known in the Melbourne circles, and it's probably more so for his looks than his football.
Oh, true. Oh, we'll definitely chuck a photo of him up there.
Do that.
You make him famous on the Gold Room Podcast, mate.
Do that.
Mate, so look, you started at PROK at 17. 33 years with the company, obviously. Where did you start in PROK?
It's an interesting story. I pretty much straight out of school, and I really wanted to do architecture, and I was going to uni at architecture, and money comes important when you're 17, and this job come up. 2 jobs actually come up in the same time, and I applied for both, and the one I really wanted, I was unsuccessful.
What one was that?
That was working for a building company, drafting / architecture along those lines, which I really wanted to do when I was that age. And I was unlucky, and it was more so just experience more than anything why I was unlucky. But the second one was at a business called PROK. And I sat in the interview with the general manager of the business at the time, and he said, "I know your name." I said, "Oh, how do you know my name?" He goes, "I'm pretty sure I went to school with your father." I thought that was a good thing. The interview was finished, didn't know whether I got the job or not, but I went home dinner that night and I spoke to the old man and I said, "Do you know such and such?" He goes, "Yeah, I beat him up at school a few times." I said, "Well, I've got no chance of getting that job then, do I?" Happened I got a phone call the following day and I got the job.
Oh, wow.
So
Awesome.
I started there at 17 years of age, and that was purely a drafting engineering discipline. Did schooling part-time on the side, and 33 years on, I find myself as the general manager, and I've been in this role now for almost 10 years.
Awesome. Awesome. That's a testament to hard work, testament to dedication to the company.
Certainly hard work, but also the opportunities the business gave me. This is my 10th different role in those 33 years and had opportunities to see the whole world. Spent a lot of time in Southeast Asia. I spent 10 years or 9.5 years in Indonesia working on the mines as part of the business.
Yeah, cool.
Huge
Awesome.
opportunities.
So, mate, give us a rundown of a day in the life of Wade as General Manager of PROK.
Interesting question. I'm responsible for two businesses in the PROK brand. There's one in Western Australia, but I'm also responsible for a business in Southeast Asia. I guess the business in WA, we're a manufacturer. We're an OEM. We have a big facility. It's one of the largest facilities in PROK globally, based in Bayswater, Western Australia. Services the West Australian market. We have a service facility in the Pilbara, which is based in Newman. And then the Indonesian business, we have a facility in Surabaya and office in Jakarta. So I guess a day in the life of me is a combination of dealing with different cultures between the two businesses, dealing with folk across both entities and travelling frequently between the two. But the Indonesian business is a growth part of PROK. The large part of who we are as a business is in Western Australia. So in the day in the life of me is juggling everything that goes with that as being an Australian manufacturer, 200 odd employees.
Wow, that's amazing. You know, like we get lots of people on the show, and I'm always happy to Australian distributors, Australian manufacturers. It's pretty impressive.
We're an iconic Australian brand. You know, you've done some work on the mines, Josh, as we spoke earlier, and we're an iconic Australian brand manufacturer. We've been in the Australian market since day one of mines operating, and it's exciting, but it's difficult as a manufacturer also. So we have to evolve to make sure that we're local and useful for our clients.
Yep. Mate, speaking of that history of PROK, and we did speak briefly about it before, approximately 60 odd plus years ago, PROK was first conveyor, or was it a conveyor to a ship for, who was the company?
We got a large engineering team in PROK, a lot of young engineers, and when we talk about stories and history, it's important to us. And I was at a 50th year celebration some years ago now with Rio Tinto in WA, and the CEO was talking about that celebration, and in the background was a black and white photo of, it was the first shipment of iron ore that left Dampier, left the Pilbara in the mid-60s, 65, 66, around that period. Don't quote me exactly on that, but it was a Japanese client buying the first iron ore shipment out of the country, and the conveyor in the photo in the background, unbeknown to others, but certainly known to me because I saw the old PROK brand on the side of that conveyor, and I looked into that, and the product on that conveyor was all built out of a facility in Western Australia.
Proud.
Very.
That's amazing.
It was exciting.
That's awesome. Mate, so speaking of you talking to these young engineers coming through the business, what's PROK do for the next generation of people coming through, you know, out of school? What's next?
I guess I can look at my journey and the opportunities I was given. I guess I've taken that into my leadership style and providing that opportunity to the young engineering team that we have. And I guess there's a few ways that we believe we can differentiate. One, the brand's quite well known in the market, which helps. But all the young engineering brigade coming through in the local universities, we do a lot of work with them to have the brand recognised. So when they're coming through their final years of schooling, they know who we are first of all. We also do a lot of tours through their facilities, through either young graduates or in their final years of university to show who we are.
Awesome.
So that's brand recognition. But what do we do when they're in the business? Takes a little bit of a different dimension. We're unique as a manufacturer. some talk about the challenges associated with manufacturing, but with us, it really helps our young engineering team because they design the product, they play with the product as we're producing it,
Yep.
and then they get the real opportunity to see it in operation and performing for the client. So they've got that whole life cycle.
That start to finish.
There's a lot of businesses that don't have that because they buy a lot of product from overseas. That's not us. So that's a big value for us. But then the other is also Australian business that's grown successfully around the world. We talk about how we're represented in Australia, both West Coast and East Coast, but North America, South America, our sister company through Europe gives them opportunity to support those businesses, but also potentially take a leap and go and work in those businesses to get other opportunities.
That's
no different
amazing.
to what happened to me early in my career when I went over and worked in Asia for a long time.
Yeah. So imagine some of these young ladies and gentlemen coming through, and if they stick around 33 years with PROK, that'd be amazing just to carry it all on.
It's not the norm these days, Josh, as we all know, but we got a really strong team and some good kids working for us. And I guess we can talk about the kids, but on our shop floor, we have 100 plus employees in the shop floor. I've got an individual in the team at the moment who's, and again, don't quote me exactly, but he's 54 years in the business.
Wow.
54 years in the business.
Seen some stuff.
I certainly has.
Far out. That's awesome.
Certainly has.
Mate, so PROK's tagline, innovation at work. You want to go into that for me?
Yeah, I can. Innovation at work was derived originally from us as a business being quite proud about always being in front of the game with innovation in products. But I guess that's only a small part of it. Innovation at work can be in every facet of what we do, from the front end to the back end, and we really empower our team members to really be thinking on their feet with, what's next, and that could be in analysing data at the front end for our customers, or it could be, efficiency on the shop floor and lean on the shop floor with our workers. So, we don't overly complicate that tagline, but very proud of what we achieved both internally and also with our products in the market.
Mate, after a bit of I always do a bit of a brief dive into, because I like to find out about the person. Obviously, I'm interested in the business, but PROK seems more entrepreneurial than corporate. Would that be right?
Iconic Australian-owned business. We haven't got a corporate bone in our body, Josh, and I don't say that with any disrespect. We're just not one of these big, large corporate process-driven red tape organisations. The CEO of the business provides the individual businesses the autonomy to make decisions.
Awesome.
And that's the reason why the business has been successful as it has. And we do talk about this quite a lot internally. We're not a hierarchy organisation.
Yeah.
Yes, I sit as the general manager of the business, but my team will tell you that's not the way we play it out. We're all on the same level.
Awesome, mate. That's very important. So that brings me on to my next little bloody bit here, was building a strong culture. And so how does PROK go about that?
Yeah, it's important. Culture is very important.
Very important.
We have a set of values in the business, which is classed as our DNA, and without going into all that in detail, but a large part of our culture is making our customer successful.
Yeah,
and that's certainly what we work for in our team, and every decision that we make is about us differentiating with our customers. But ultimately, the culture is about equally winning, but also helping our customers succeed.
That's amazing. So helping your customers, you'd have a massive list of success stories. So give me your bloody top two.
Top two for me. There's many, Josh.
I can imagine.
There's probably a question for my broader team.
Is there a recent standout?
Yeah, there is a recent standout, and I don't take any credit for this. This is the good work that my team's done. But there was a major iron ore company in WA who made the change from one product to the next. And
was it steel to?
Yeah, that's a good question. It was a big part of that change in management, going from traditional steel rollers to a composite or HDB product. And what we learned through data, and this is customer data, that these are generally a 3-year type agreement with the clients. It's now sitting in 5 years with that client, and we found that the repeatable failures that were reduced from that change going from one product to the next was around 20% repeatable failures, which results in uptime and more production for the client. So that was received extremely well by the client, but it was something that we were really proud of as a team too, because you only get that through experience and time.
Yeah.
So that was one. I guess another one that really stands out to us, we can talk about rollers, but the other big part of our portfolio is conveyor pulleys. And years ago, you needed a pulley, you buy a new pulley. But in the last 10 or so years, when you need a new pulley, you send it back to be refurbished. So what that has done is changed the market where anyone believes they can refurbish a pulley. We're an OEM, so when a pulley comes in our facility that's been in service for 10 plus years, we'll make sure that when it goes back out of our facility, it's still right for that application. It's easy to refurbish a product, but you've still got to make sure it's going to be right for the application it's intended for. So it's a service that we provide, and customers really appreciate for it.
Matt, I want to go into this HDPE product, right? So the different colours, obviously, I've seen on multiple mine sites, you've got the steel rollers. A steel roller on a heavy salinity mine site, you're going to get rust. You get collapsed rollers, and with a collapsed roller, you not all the time, but if you can find them, you usually hear them a mile away first. But then you've got the chance of tearing a belt. And on a mine site, if you're tearing a belt, you've got downtime, to either repair that or change the whole belt out at a costly bloody experience.
I guess first of all, Josh, the question as to steel to composite and why. I guess before answering that, Australian mine industry, in my opinion, is at the forefront globally, and a lot of regions look to Australia and see how we're progressing with certain items. And in our game, steel rollers have been the thing across the whole world. And the WA iron ore market was probably the first location globally that really went 100% in that direction. And they went in that direction because of, obviously, weight. I've changed rollers out myself in my career, and changing a steel roller in a composite roller, chalk and cheese, so to speak. And the fitters come off a shift in the afternoon, and changing 600 composite rollers is very easy compared to changing 600 steel. But so safety was a big factor. The weight was a big factor. Probably one that I really think was a catalyst of that significant change in WA was, you look at a conveyor, PROK's responsible for the components, be it the pulleys and the idlers. They're probably the two core products in our portfolio.
You guys aren't doing belts?
No, we don't do the rubber, we don't do the belts. We're not in Western Australia, we certainly don't. But that's probably the biggest expense on your conveyor.
Yep. So
you need to protect it. In moving from a steel to a composite, the maintenance practices don't have to be as sharp as they need to be. Steel roller fails, it rips the belt apart. It comes like a pizza cutter effect, and just like a knife, it rips the belt, and that's downtime and costly to the client. So with composite rollers, you can run them to failure. We don't recommend that, but you can run them to failure, and it's not detrimental to the belt, which is the largest expense on the conveyor.
So obviously easy to see the wear on your rollers as well.
This is an innovation from PROK. It's a world first from PROK. It's a painted item. So the tube itself, when it wears in time, it shows you a visual indicator. It was interesting when we designed this in the office in Bayswater in Perth some years ago. The engineering team who'd come up with this idea, it was always going to be yellow, which is our brand, and it was going to be red for the inner layer. Red means problem change, and we changed it to green for two reasons. One, because Australian colours.
Beautiful, mate.
The second was you don't need to create panic when you see the green coming through. It's more so just a preventative maintenance tool that enables operations and maintenance crews to say, let's start planning for our next major shutdown, which could be 12, 16, 20 weeks away, that you now need to start thinking about making the change.
That's awesome. What about bearing failures? I don't actually have that, but I just know that out on site, more often than not, certainly conveyors that are being washed down or what have you, get bearing water in there, bearing failures. How does PROK protect the roller?
Well, bearing failures. Bearing failures over the years takes different meanings.
Yep.
A lot of the products in the market in the early years were our products, and we were known to have the best steel roller in the world. And what that resulted in is maintenance practices, certainly in WA and ore, fell by the wayside because the rollers performed exceptionally well. You have design life 8 to 10 years on paper for this product. We've had rollers lasting 30, 40 years in WA. So what happens when
Each roller?
Each roller. And so there's been a lot of conversations with customers about, your rollers are failing, we're having bearing failures. When we do that analysis, I said to the customer, and it's not always me, it's my team also, do you realise how long that roller's been performing for? And there's been many examples where we're talking 40 years, 30 years beyond its design life. So
what lasts 40 years these days? That's crazy.
Exactly. So coming back to your question on bearings, but today there's a lot of foreign products in the market. And I don't talk overseas, just there's a lot of cheaper versions of products on the market and bearing failures through poor sealing arrangements, which enables water ingress and dust ingress, which leads to premature failure. So we've got 50 plus years experience in this market, Josh, and without talking through the design aspects, we are very confident of our roller and how it performs in the market, and we do independent testing against many products in the market, and we're confident that our product performs.
So this new roller, if you had old steel rollers that would last 40 odd years, what's the design life? What's the time frame of wear and tear on these new products?
Yeah, like if the market speaks about comparing the two, you don't necessarily do that anymore. It's a different industry. Composite rollers will generally last less than a traditional steel. Again, that's my opinion. Other people have got other opinions, but the benefits of this product far outweighs where we've been with the old technology with steel rollers.
Yeah, okay.
And that is obviously the safety aspect, which is weight.
That's paramount in today's day and age.
There's a number of things being done with weight at the moment, and I guess we're heavily governed by client specifications. 30 kilo weight limits for rollers, 25 kilo weight limits, 20 kilos, and I guess it will continue to go down. So we have to find ways to meet that criteria. And composite rollers, some 10 plus years ago now, have helped meet that expectation of the customer.
Beautiful, mate. PROK's across lots of markets. What are you seeing change-wise in the WA market right now?
Yeah, I had this discussion within networks, both internally and externally, and I guess the sentiment is that the market's starting to plateau a little bit. I don't have that sentiment. I've always been very optimistic as a leader of the business, and I think the pipeline is healthy. We certainly got a really solid backlog at the moment. We talk about major projects that are happening in the West Australian market, and yes, they're not the same level what they've been in recent years, but there is still healthy projects out there. So, in our game, materials handling, I think it's quite exciting in the next 2 or 3 years.
I think so too. Think so too.
Great.
We've got we've got some great explorers. We've got some great juniors, mining juniors out there, and with this new deal that America and Australia have looked at for critical minerals, surely you're going to see an uptick in construction, even new plants and manufacturing. I think it'll be great for Australia.
I agree, Josh. I think there's a huge opportunity in the West Australian market at the moment. As you say, I guess if you look at all the established mines, and when I come back to iron ore again, you come back to all those established infrastructures in the Pilbara. There's deposits which have to get to them. And how do you get to them? You're either trucking or you're conveying. So for customers listening out there, well, we believe conveying is the best way.
Bloody oath. I've seen some long conveyors, probably not as long as you've seen, But yeah, I think what a great opportunity. So let's get into Australian manufacturing. Now, Australian manufacturing has, for 30 odd years, fallen by the wayside. We've seen big businesses just shoot all their manufacturing over to China. Obviously, India's on the up and up. How have you done it? How has PROK kept manufacturing in Australia?
Yeah, that's a good question. I guess through strategy, front of mind has always been, as a business, to be local and useful. And whether you're in Australia or in another mining market around the world, building capability in production and people important. So it hasn't been easy, Josh, but I think it's served our key clients well, where it's received that having that local capability in production, but also a real strong cohort of engineering technical folk close to your clients is invaluable. Yes, we see a lot of competition from overseas manufacturers, China and whatnot. They probably play in the space of capex front end projects. They probably struggle in the back end where we're hugely successful because of the feet on the ground and local production capability.
Yeah. So, I guess also stock levels.
Stock levels, not necessarily.
Really?
Obviously, we hold a huge amount of inventory and whatnot in raw materials, but the market is. Okay, let me go back. We're not catalogue salespeople.
Yep.
Just because a roller's on one operation doesn't mean it's on the next.
Okay, so it's made to order and a quick turnaround time?
Huge amount of variation in the market. One thing where we're extremely proud in our West Australian operation is our lead times across all of our portfolio products.
Awesome.
I can remember back in the market when I first started, a 6 to 8 week lead time for rollers was considered the normal. That's not considered the normal by any means today. We're sitting at 100% DIFOT in our business, and we're turning things around in 10 days to 2 weeks in all aftermarket. And we need to, because that's the expectations of the market.
Wow, yeah, I wouldn't have expected that. That's quick, 7 to 10 days.
Yeah, 7 to 10 days on average at the moment. We try to always commit to that 2 week period.
Yep.
The business has been successful with that.
Yeah, of course. So, mate, that's amazing, really, because even if someone's shipping things in if a company's shipping things in from wherever internationally, you've got 7 to 10 days from Sydney. Most things are shipped into, or a lot of things are shipped into Sydney. You've got a lot of companies over on the East Coast, and to be proud Australian, but proud Western Australian company, that's powerful. And that's 7 to 10 days. I had no idea. I'd be singing that from the rooftop.
You need to come out and have a look, Josh. I'll show you through the operation.
I can't wait. Yeah. Dimitri and I were already talking about it earlier, about how awesome it would be. We'll come out and do some filming on the ground at the workshop.
Do that. Awesome. Always invited.
Awesome, mate. So let's talk about your competitive edge. Are we allowed to talk about competitors?
It's not something that we normally do. Yeah, we can talk about competitors for sure.
We don't need to. This is your moment in the sun, mate. So, but your competitive edge.
I'll come back to your cultural question again.
Okay.
Could you talk about competitors? One thing that my team strongly understands, and our focus is making the customer successful. We're a big player in this market and been a big player for a long time, but we have no arrogance in the organisation. It's not us as a business, but you can be portrayed as this big organisation. You talk about competitors. We're not interested in how they may portray us. We're interested in what our customer sees us, and that's our focus. I won't have anyone in my team talk ill about a competitor. It's not our style. We won't play that at all. I think that's pretty clearly understood in my team.
Yeah,
our focus is solving challenges for our customer and, again, making them successful.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Customers. I guess that goes on to my next question, your customer-centric approach.
Yeah, very. Without them, who are we? Whether we're the front end sales and engineering organisation, or through the back office, through your procurement team, your operations team, one thing that we do well as a united team is customers always in the forefront of everything that we discuss as a business, and culturally, that's held us in very good stead. Talking to shop floor workers and working on an urgent order that's going through, they'll clearly understand who that client is and why it's important.
Awesome. Mate, so this is a question here that I was quite excited to ask you because obviously rise of AI, everyone's talking about new technology. PROK's got smart conveyors.
Yeah, we do. It's smart conveyors or conveyor health is something that gets readily spoken about in the market, and there's a long way still to go in this space.
Oh, for sure.
Well, what's happening with AI and data is so progressive, and what might be relevant this month could be very different the next month.
Yep.
I guess first of all, I'm pretty excited about some of the caliber of people we've got in the PROK business in Perth who are very motivated in this space. They actually blow me away sometimes. I consider myself an old boy now, and I'm learning every day in that space. But coming back to what we're offering, certainly currently, we have two big plays. One is we do condition monitoring for the belting.
Yep, awesome.
So we're independent to a belting manufacturer. We've got a product which is completely independent, which customers like, and that has three key plays. One, it's laser scanning, which can identify foreign material on the belt or tramp metal, so to speak, which can cause damage. We can also identify damage to the belt through this scanning. But equally, something we've added to this technology in recent years is the ability to scan the bottom cover of the belt, the thickness, which is very powerful for clients. So they can, again, use that as a predictive maintenance tool. So that's on the belting side.
Yep.
For products we do manufacture, like rollers in front of us here, we have a set temperature sensor in the end of the roller, which can predict obviously premature bearing failure and whatnot. And we come up with a name with this some years ago, and it was interesting. One of the guys in the office spoke to his son about it, and his son goes, "You should call it Prokemon." And he was watching,
Pokemon.
He was watching like Transformers, and this time wasn't Pokemon, it was Transformers, and we come up with Prokemon, and that's what we were running with. So so that together with the belt scanning.
So you're tracking and saving this data?
Yeah, it's interesting that the data generally is data that's captured by the client.
Okay.
Not always easy to capture that data independently, but certainly we capture the data in collaboration with the client, and that can help us predict roller failure.
How are they doing that?
How are they doing that?
Is it like Wi-Fi, Bluetooth capabilities?
There's many ways of doing that, and that's evolving also, but that data is through Wi-Fi at the moment.
Okay, cool. Awesome. Mate, thank you very much. So I've got my final question, which has recently been due to people saying, hey, look, we really like getting to the end of the episode and finding whoever is the guest, what is some amazing advice that they've been given or thrown back out there?
I guess if you're referring to the game that we're in conveyors, a bit of old school thinking in what worked with me when young engineer in the business, and I think it still holds weight today. These are products that we supply which are like out of a catalogue. They're all ad hoc and designed to suit an application. So what that results in, which is painful for clients, is you need to focus on rationalisation and standardisation. So I think there's a real opportunity for our clients to work with us to help them reduce their net working capital, obviously reducing the inventory by rationalising their fleet. So that's one thing that I always say to customers. It's really powerful. It doesn't get a lot of time, but it's certainly a lot of upside for them. That's one. I guess the other one that, and I did speak about this earlier, is conveyor pulleys is a big part of what we do. The market has changed from buying new to a refurbished product. It's really important that when you refurbish a pulley, that you make sure it's going back into an application that it's fit for. And when you pull a product out for 10 plus years, there's a lot of cases where potentially it may not be. So as an OEM, we provide that service.
It's a strange one for me because, we're in a bloody throwaway society. So refurbishing pulleys, why do companies choose to refurbish them? Obviously, it's a cost. It has to be a cost thing, right?
Certainly a cost thing. Wear and tear. A pulley is designed for infinite life. So the pulley design-wise will last life.
Wow.
But wear and tear is unpredictable. It's based on maintenance of your clients and whatnot, but the wear components, the lagging, bearings, etc. These are assets which cost money. You refurbish a pulley, significant dollar saving, and extend the life of the product.
Yeah, beautiful. Awesome. Well, Wade, mate, thank you very much for coming in and spending the time with us. As per usual, I've learned a lot. What a great product. I mean, I've changed out some rollers and having to lug steel rollers up a conveyor, even if they have been placed on a pallet, strategically along the way, it's still a bit of hard work. So I'd really like to. Have you got a conveyor at the workshop that I can come and practice putting a few in?
You can come do that, Josh. I can have you do that this afternoon if you want.
I'm a bit busy this afternoon, mate, but I'll organise it sometime to definitely come in and see you and the team.
No, do that, Josh, and appreciate it. Thanks for having me on today.
Beautiful,
Cheers.
mate. Not a problem. Thank you very much for tuning into another episode on the Gold Room podcast. I hope that if you're a mining company and you're currently using steel rollers, obviously get in contact with probably not Wade, but members of Wade's.
Call me too.
Okay, call Wade. We're going to leave the website and not Wade's phone number, but someone's phone number in the show notes. Thanks for tuning in. See you again.